In 2023, I think most people in the hobby today, the majority, and I mean the vast majority, do not take these games that serious. Well, they might see it as them taking it serious, but there's a small percentage of nerds. Many of them have been in the hobby for decades, and I'm one of them. We take the game very serious. But most people that I encounter now, my talk about the game, how serious I take it, is foreign to them. It's foreign to their experience. And they're not just playing 5e, they play other games. I just don't see, many people taking the game that serious, at least in person. And from what I see from actual plays, live plays on the internet, most of those games, people are joking around like they don't take the game that serious. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a small percentage of us, content creators, that are out here screaming at a void, right? Trying to change minds of people that aren't going to listen to the way we talk, right? Like, it shuts them down. Like, they don't recognize why we even take the game that serious. In a certain way, I think many of us have to do a better job at explaining why we take it serious and do it in a way that they're willing to listen, right? But a lot of times when we try to explain it, we throw insults in what we're saying. We degrade people. And many people tell me this. Like, they listen to certain people that are content creators if they didn't feel that person was spitting in their face. You don't have to bow to the audience as a content creator, but you should consider feedback, right? Especially feedback that is telling you, hey, if you weren't doing this, I would listen. And then really consider, is it worth doing that? Do they have a point, right? Do you yourself, if you go around listening to people that you don't agree with, if they call you a piece of trash in not so many words, well, I would assume many of you would just turn that person off, right? I mean, why would you keep listening if they're calling you a piece of trash? Well, if you're doing that to other people, even if that's not your intention, maybe it is something to consider. Here is an example of an area that I really want to drill to people that oppose my position. It's about feats. I think they're bad for the game in so many different ways. D&D, that is. Right? From 3rd edition right up to 5e. I know they were introduced in Splat books in 2nd edition. I had a feeling they were going to be bad. But I look at many areas where they take away the challenge, they take away negatives, but they also do something else. They can bring all these extra actions in with combat and all these other layers they add to the game. And when you go into combat, you could see a combat that takes 2 hours based on all these extra gimmicks characters have that are unnecessary. And if you just peel some of that away, the combat speeds up, and that 2-hour combat can be turned into a 20-minute combat. Now, I'm old school D&D, right? Old school D&D didn't have all these layers, so your 2-hour combat in, say, 5e would be probably 20 minutes, if not less, in old school Dungeons and Dragons. And I find that to be more appealing, and the game is still fairly challenging back there. It's not impossible. Old school doesn't have to be a meat grinder. It's all about learning, and as you get better, you'll find you can survive with characters for as long as you want to if you play smart. Now at 5e, it's just, hey, if you want to be half-assed and lazy, there's a lot of layers here to protect your character, so it's a lot less talent-based on your end. Right? You can pretty much go in and drool out of the side of your mouth and still survive most 5e sessions. So my argument to the people that are coming into the hobby right now playing 5e, I think the experience with combat that they're having is not that good. I think needing to spend time in a combat that takes 2 hours with all these unnecessary layers that are there to protect them in the cheapest way possible. And I noticed something else. I watch many people play the newer games, and when you see all the text that is supposed to fire up the imagination from their attacks, they become numb to all this stuff like they're playing MMOs. Like they're playing the Final Fantasy MMO and they do the attack, but they've seen the attack a million times. It doesn't fire up anything. And you see a lot of people playing 5e in that way, where they're talking about the power mechanically, but the spark of imagination simply isn't there. And it seems like most of the people I see playing that game don't take the game that serious to spark up the imagination. I swear, it's like they're trying to write some funny cartoon, right? Give you some comedy or something most of the time. It seems silly to me, and I know that's not the normal standard in the hobby. That's not the way it has always been. But in 2023, I see a lot of this. My other argument to new people coming into the hobby, the majority that I see not taking the game that serious, taking the game seriously, just nerding out a bit and taking it serious, buying in, fully to a game, and not walking in thinking you're writing some Gummy Bears cartoon story where you're doing this really, really bad comedy, right? You just come in to play the game and take that serious. Again, if there is a story to be told off of what you do, fine, but your focus is just to play a game and take it serious. Take what's going on serious, right? That's it. I would tell you that if you try that, you're most likely going to have a better time than trying to sit down and do the comedy gimmick. Now, I get some of those nights with the haha can be fun, but my argument to you from an experienced person is that type of humor will dry out. Like, you'll get bored of it really quick. And then you'll get to a stage where no matter what you think, I guarantee this will happen, so I'm giving you a heads up, you'll want to take it more serious. And I notice a lot of 5e guys that get to the stage where I can tell they want to take it serious. They get bored of the comedy after so many sessions of it, but they don't know how. They'll try, and then it becomes numb and mediocre. And I see a lot of new players come into the hobby, do that short stimulation that's fun, but it's not going to be long-lasting for a campaign or something. It dies out for them. They try to jump into the next game, and it's just they keep looking for that, high of those little fun short experiences. What I would tell them is they can get back to that high, and it can last longer and be better if they take the game serious. And then there's still going to be funny moments, joking around, having a good time on that level, but it's overall within a more serious setting, a more serious atmosphere where you play the game. And then you can maintain your great experience longer. So this is what happens to people. They go in, they have these short-term highs, it dies out, and then they want to jump back there again. That's why you see these short campaigns of like 6 sessions, and then they're back to a new campaign. They're always back to look for the high, look for the high, look for the high. And there's a reason it's shorter sessions and shorter campaigns. There's a reason. It's not just an in thing for any other reason than this. Let me be clear. The reason they want shorter sessions is some of their sessions aren't fun after like 2 hours, right? They have their high, and the high goes away because they don't know how to maintain the high. The reason they have shorter campaigns, they don't know how to maintain the thrill, how to maintain the high. They haven't learned. They don't understand that playing the game more serious gets you to that high and maintains it longer. And that's why people can go years playing the same campaign, months playing the same campaign, because they know how to get to their peak in a way that's sustainable. Like it lasts, right? It doesn't just burn out on you. Anyway, for now, take care. You know what you can do? You can hit the like button. You can share the video. Oh, and there's another button you can press. That one that lets you subscribe to my channel for more content. Oh yeah, there's that bell thing. You can press that so you know when I've uploaded a new video right away.